Hey guys, it's Uncle Doug again, coming to you from the basement of one of the ministry houses here in the last ministry house here in Liberty, Missouri. We are still in transition to get the last of everything out of here and over to near the farm. But I want to do a video talking to you about the 3 weeks of awe. If you've been following the channel for a long time, you probably know what I'm talking about. But in the Hebrew calendar, there is a special time called the 3 weeks of awe, A-W-E, that is in memory of the destruction of the temple twice at the exact same time. Solomon's temple was destroyed by the Babylonians. The temple, the wall of the city was breached on the 17th of the month of Tammuz. That's the Hebrew the Hebrew holiday of Som Tammuz, which floats around the calendar. This year it was yesterday, or day before yesterday, Sunday, July the 1st, was the 17th of Tammuz. The first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians, the second by the Romans in AD 70. Herod's temple. In both cases, the wall was breached on the 17th of Tammuz, and it took them 3 weeks to battle through the city until the temple was destroyed on the 9th day of the month of Av. Now, the Hebrew calendar is a lunar calendar. Every 7 years there's a leap month, and where we have a leap day every 4 years. So the months are a little bit shorter, and it swings on the Gregorian calendar pretty wildly. So the 9th of Av can range anywhere from late August to mid-July, depending on where you are in the swing of things there. So this year, the 9th of Av is on the 22nd of July, which is Sunday the 22nd. The 3 weeks of awe leading up to the destruction of the temple are special in the Hebrew calendar. You shouldn't plan weddings or celebrations of any kind. I suppose if a kid has a birthday during that period, you bump it until after, or celebrate it before or something, because it's supposed to be a time of solemnity and weeping and whatever, leading up to the 9th of Av, which is the low point of the Hebrew calendar, a day of weeping and mourning for all of the calamities that have befallen the Jews on the 9th of Av. It's not just that 2 temples were destroyed. If you're an atheist, that by itself is something. But the 9th of Av is also the day the spies went into the Promised Land 30 days before, come out on the 9th of Av, and say it's a great land, flowing with milk and honey. They have a branch, a big rod, between 2 of them, carrying one bunch of grapes. One bunch that's so heavy 2 of them have to carry it. And they say it's great land, but the people are giants, and we look like grasshoppers in their eyes. And this is one of the things the Lord told them, that the people had intermarried with Amalek, with the giants. And anyway, so they talked to people, the 12 spies that went into the Promised Land, 2 of them, Caleb and Joshua, say, no, it's okay, God's going to give us the victory. The other 10 talked the people into quitting. And they why did you bring us out here to die? We could have died in Egypt, and blah, blah, blah. Now, this is before the 40 years wandering in the desert. Some people think, I guess because they don't read it very well, or because they didn't read it at all, and they just kind of put 2 and 2 together based on stories or whatever. Some people think they got out of Egypt, the Red Sea parted, and they wandered in the desert for 40 years, and then they get to go into the Promised Land. That's not it at all. There's Passover, where they put the blood of the lambs over the doorposts, and the death angel kills all the firstborn, and that convinces Pharaoh to let them go. They leave Egypt. Pharaoh decides to chase them. They get to the Red Sea. The water parts. You might look up WyattMuseum.com, where they actually found the Red Sea crossing. A land bridge. It's like thousands of feet deep right there. They would have had to go straight down and straight up the other side, which you couldn't do with kids and animals and carts and stuff. Except right there, there's a land bridge. And on top of that land bridge, they found chariot wheels, gold-crusted chariot wheels strewn all across there from that Egyptian dynasty. So just totally proved that it wasn't the Reed Sea where they walked across and it was swampy. It was actually the Red Sea, miles across. And to get that many people across, the water had to have been several miles across where it was parted. Anyway, they walk across on dry land. Pharaoh follows them in. Ocean closes up, smashes Pharaoh and his army. They walk a little bit further into what is now Saudi Arabia, which was at one point the southern part of Israel, to Sinai. That's 50 days. That's Pentecost, is when God speaks from Sinai and gives them the Ten Commandments to all the people. And they say, no, no, Moses, you go talk to him. We don't want to hear him like that anymore. So Moses comes down with the tablets and 600 more laws because they don't want to hear him personally. But all the people heard God and decided they didn't want to hear him anymore because they would die, which is true. You would die to self if you heard God like thunder from a mountain all the time. That was 50 days from Passover to Sinai. Okay? From Sinai, they walk a couple of weeks and they're right there on the border of the Jordan, send spies into Canaan. Wait 30 days, they come back. Oh, we can't go, they're giants, whatever. God calls Moses into the tent of meeting and says, you know what? They're chicken, forget it. I'm going to raise you up a people that has faith like a child. Everybody over 20 years old is going to die in the desert. Out you go. So then they go, the people are like, oh, no, no, we're sorry, we'll go. And they go attack the nearest city and get clobbered. Lose thousands. And they're like, okay, fine. So off they go in the desert and just meander around in horrible southern Israel, south of Beersheba, which is now Saudi Arabia, for 40 years. While all the kids watch every grown-up they've known and loved die. So then they come back 40 years later, and Yeshua, leads them into the Promised Land. All kind of reasons why it had to prophetically be Yeshua and not Moses. Moses stays back on the mountain and looks across as they go into the Promised Land on Nebo, which I was at in 2010. If you want to look back in the video, there's me visiting Mount Nebo, looking over into Israel where Moses stood. Anyway, that would be in the videos around 11 or 12, 2010. Okay, so that day they came out of the Promised Land and talked the people into being afraid, and they gave up, was the 9th of Av. When you are on the edge of the Promised Land, on the verge of the promise the Lord gave you, and you squeal and chicken out, He doesn't forget that. So He uses that date to remind them, and one calamity after another lands on them. They get kicked out of Spain on the 9th of Av. They get kicked out of France on the 9th of Av. Some say the annihilation, death warrant on the Jews was signed by Hitler on the 9th of Av. Over and over and over, bad stuff lands on them on the 9th of Av. I think if we took the Gregorian calendar and converted it to the Hebrew calendar and looked at some of the dates in the Christian church where calamities landed on them, I think we'd find that the 9th of Av pops up a lot more. It is a day of weeping and repentance. You're not supposed to wear leather. You're not supposed to smile. You're not supposed to have a party. You're just supposed to sit around and kind of cry and weep for the mistakes that were made and how bad things are and for making God mad. This year it lands on the 22nd of July. In 1967, in the summer of love, when I was born, it landed on August 15th, on my birthday. I know that I am made for this. I am the seventh firstborn son of a firstborn son, born on the 9th of Av. Don't know quite exactly what to do with that, but there it is. And it is clear that repentance is a big part of who God made me to be. Anyway, the 3 weeks of awe tend to be really hard around here. We had a lot of warfare right before. I don't know. I don't know how it'll go from one year to the next, but it tends to be a really serious time, and time the enemy especially tries to dry up resources and provision. And anyway, leading up to the 9th of Av, after the 3 weeks of awe, we enter 7 weeks of consolation that leads up to the Feast of Tabernacles. And the rabbis call that kind of a rebuilding period, a consolation period, with the idea that if you spank a kid 3 times, you have to say, I love you 7 times to make up for it. So, the 7 weeks of consolation lead up to Rosh Hashanah, then Yom Kippur the next week, and then the Feast of Tabernacles, or Sukkot, the following week. Rosh Hashanah is sort of the head of the year, the Jewish New Year, or at least one of the 3 Jewish New Years, technically. But we end the year with 3 weeks of weeping and mourning and remembering what happens when you go against God, and then 7 weeks of consolation of Him kissing your boo-boos and making everything okay, leading up to Rosh Hashanah, and then Yom Kippur, the only day that they go into the Holy of Holies, a day by which you want to have settled any outstanding hurt feelings, or if you cheated anybody, or if you did anything, they say the books close on Yom Kippur every year, and you want to have settled anything that's outstanding. Anyway, in the Jewish tradition, I try not to predict things and speak things that don't have to be that way, or kind of bind the Lord into things being a certain way. But typically, there's a lot of warfare during this 3-week period leading up to the 22nd of July. We have a conference the 20th, 21st, 22nd, and look forward to any of you that might want to come. Please RSVP so we know you're coming. The conference is free. You can stay at a hotel at your own expense, or stay with us. If you let us know, we'll try and have a bed or a sofa or something available for you. And we just the conferences are a time for us to kind of just stop what we're doing and be available for whoever comes, whether that's fellowship or deliverance or wanting to see what we do here or whatever. Usually between 8 to 10 people that come in from outside, plus 20 or 30 of ours that are regulars, and we just sort of fellowship and try to meet whatever needs you have. Anyway, that's it for now. I just wanted to educate you a little bit about the Hebrew calendar. I didn't get that as a kid in the Baptist church. Nobody ever told me. You can get a lot of information at hebcal.com, hebcal.com. That is not a Messianic Christian site. That is a straight-up Jewish calendar site. but you can get the Sabbath readings and information about each of the holidays and what they celebrate and why, and what the rabbis say about them, and all that kind of stuff from a straight up Jewish perspective. But it is, the Lord really started using that calendar in my life, and there was a stretch of time in 2005 where every full moon, new moon, or half moon was on either an American holiday or a Christian holiday or a Jewish holiday. It was really weird. Like Thanksgiving and Christmas were both on a half moon. And the Lord's like, okay, what are you going to do? Feed yourself, give stuff to yourself, or take care of the needs of other people? And go out and feed other people, feed people in need, give gifts to those that need it, give clothes, give whatever. And of course, a lot of the Hebrew calendars on a new moon because it's a lunar calendar. But for other stuff, like everything, you can go back and look. There was a stretch about 18 months around 2005 where everything seemed to land. I mean, I'm talking Arbor Day, Valentine's Day, everything seemed to land on a full moon, a new moon, or a half moon. And the Lord was really teaching me a lot about how He keeps time. And I think it's worthwhile to know and understand the Hebrew calendar. That doesn't make you a Messianic Christian, to understand the calendar God used for His people for years and years and years. And like the 9th of Av, how He uses the calendar to speak in amazing ways that are prophetic and illustrative of who He is, and maybe even convincing for non-Christians that there's something to this, because Josephus, even the historian that was there in AD 70 at the destruction of Jerusalem, could not believe. So it has to be God. It has to be God. The Romans were given orders not to destroy the temple. And on the same day they destroyed it before, they did it again. The mercenaries they brought with them disobeyed orders and shot fiery arrows into the temple and destroyed it. And it burned down, and then the gold in the temple melted. Everything was laminated with gold, and it all melted down into the cracks of the rocks. And there was not a single stone on top of another, because the mercenaries had to knock it all down and scrape the gold out of the cracks. Just like prophecy said would happen. Anyway, just like Jesus said would happen. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to do the best I can to get through this next 3 weeks. I pray you will too. If you'd like to donate and help what we're doing, you can PayPal to FOTM@fellowshipofthemartyrs.com, or get on the website, and there's a piggy bank there if you want to give on a credit card, or you can call and we can do it on a credit card over the phone, or you can mail a check, or however you'd like to help what we're doing and get this out to more people. We're really excited about some of the stuff that's coming. We're getting some momentum on City Saver, and we'll be talking more about that as time comes. And some really, really great people here now. I want to do some videos, introduce you to more of them. Malachi and Sarah, I think you've seen on some of the videos where we took them out to eat or something when they were in town, or God gave them permission, said it was time to move, and he's interviewed today for a job with a local company, and hoping to be moving here shortly. I've got a couple of people have expressed interest in using Patreon to support the videos, and another one that suggested that we accept Bitcoin from some folks that would rather do transactions that way. And so I'm looking into that. If that's something you're interested in, please comment below if either one of those you think would be useful for you. If you would like to donate that way. Patreon is about 5% more expensive than PayPal when you add in all their fees and stuff. And they pay once a month instead of instantly. So that sort of a disincentive. But if that's how people would prefer to do it, and there's some folks out there used to that, then maybe that's something we could do. And you could just set up 10 or 15 or whatever, how many dollars a month you want to give, and just give on a regular basis. Anyway, please keep praying for us, for our strength to hold out, for the work that God's calling us to do here, and to endure, and we hope to be here for you too. I know there's some folks that are expecting a phone call back from me. Mark, Rob, Noah, and some others. I haven't forgot about you. We're just trying to work down the list. So I'm trying to keep up best I can with the emails and the phone calls, and hope to get to you soon. Don't give up on us. That's it for now. God bless you all. In the name of Jesus. Amen.